done work on. Okay. Now, let's have a look at something nice and straightforward. Question number 1A. Question 1A. 1A is 2x plus 4. Now, when we do factorizing using common factors, this technique is using the common factors technique. This is the very basics of factorizing. Now, what we need to do, we need to look at these two elements here and look for the highest common factor. So we look at the 2x and we look at the 4 and we look what do they both share in common as factors, and the answer will be the highest common factor is 2. Why? Because if you split this one up, 2x can be rewritten as 2 times by x, okay, plus, and the 4 can be rewritten as 2 times by 2. So once we split the numbers up into their factors, we can now easily collect the common factors, pull them to the front, okay, copy down what's left over, and we have finished the question. Okay, how do we know as a test that we've actually done it properly? We have to look at this here, the 2x plus 2, and see, can we factorize it again? If we can factorize again, then we haven't done it properly. We need to factorize it again. Okay, that's called partial factorization. Okay, Mr. Abdullah, we happy with that? The idea, the concept. Yeah? So when you do your working out for these questions, you should be doing this working out in your books, not on the sheet of paper. You should be working on, in your class books, not on the sheet of paper. Okay? So 2x plus 4, nice and simple question. Question 1A, clip 104, grade C. It looks like this. Okay, here comes video number 2. Right, so we have a look at question 1A on our factorizing. So we're doing factorizing using common factors. Okay, so let's have a look at the question. Look at question 2A. 2A, we have p squared plus 7p. Now, what we're doing here, again, we're looking for the highest common factor. The highest common factor of this part and this part here. Now, we don't have any numbers which are common, but what do we have that's common? So if you look at p squared, and we look at 7p, what is common is p. You have p that's common. Why? Because inside the p squared, we have p times by p. And inside the 7p is simply 7 times by p. So now we're looking for, let's circle the common factors. Let's pull them out. Then we copy down everything else. Copy down the p, copy down the plus, copy down the 7, and we have finished. And that gives us that. Okay, that's done. So in the first question we had numbers that were common, second question we had letters that were common. Let's have a look at a question now that has both of them in common. Okay, new. Let's have a look at question 3. Let's have a look at question 3A. No, let's have a look at question 3E. So question 3E. Question 3E is 6x squared plus 9x. Now, we are going to be again looking at this element and this element. And we're looking for the highest common factor. So in the 6x squared and the 9x squared, we got two numbers, the 6 and the 9. What's the highest common factor of 6 and 9? 3. And then we have the x squared and the x. What's the highest common factor there? X. So altogether the highest common factor is 3x. So now we need to split these up, each element into these, get the factors out. So 6 becomes 2 times by 3 times by x times by x. That's how we split up 6x squared. So here's your 6 and here's your x squared. Okay. Plus. Now your 9x, what will that split up into? 3 times by 3 times by x. Now let's find the parts which are common. So we said that the common factor was 3x. So I can see a 3x here. There's 3x here, and there's also a 3x there. Pull this part out. The 3x part. So the 3x is common. That comes out. What are we left with? We are left on this side is the 2 and the x. That becomes 2x. And the plus is copied down. And just the 3 left on the side. So right from the beginning of this question, we knew by considering the highest common factor exactly what we're going to pull out. By looking at it, considering it. And then we split it up accordingly and pulled out the common factors and we left like this. How do we know we finished? We look at the values inside the bracket here. 2x plus 3. If that can be factorized again, then we haven't factorized it properly and we need to factorize it further. Okay, right. Let's do one more question on this and then we'll let you loose some of the questions. Okay. Okay, now, can we have more than, so we've had a numerical factor, we've had a letter factor, we have a number and a letter. Let's see, let's have a look at question 4D. Question 4D. Question 4D we have 3x squared y squared plus 9xy. Okay, right. Let's have Mr. Abdullah. Can you give me an idea by looking at these two numbers there? What is the first part of the highest common factor? 3. Highest common factor so far the share is 3. Okay, now let's have Hamza. By looking at this next letter, what's the common factor there? X. Okay, let's have Afira. By looking at this next part, the y squared element, what do we have common there? Y. Okay, so the highest common factor is 3xy. That's what we're going to pull out from each element. 3xy. So let's now start splitting it up. So the first one will be 3 times by x times by x. That's how we split up the x squared like this. And the y squared is going to be times by y times by y. Copy down the plus from here. The 9xy will become 3. Okay, let's have a different color. 3 times by 3 times by x. Whoops, that's not an x. Okay, lovely. That's really nice. That's nice. Very good. Let's go back to our brush. Okay, 3 times by 3.
Supposed to be next.
Supposed to be an x. So let's try bringing it again. Okay, lovely. We finally managed to get rid of those gremlins. Now, so we said that the highest common factor was 3xy. Over here. So where's my 3xy? So here's my 3, here's my x, there's my y, and there's my 3xy. Let's pull them out. So we're going to have at the front 3xy. Okay, then we're going to have our brackets. So what we got left over here, Abdullah? We got over here x is left over and a
y.
So we have xy. And the plus is copied down. Now we took all of this out. So what are we left with?
3.
This is 3. And that's the end of that question. Okay, now I want you guys to have a go at some of these questions now. Okay, I'll write the question numbers down for you over here. Okay, so this is our classwork questions from this section here. So I want you to have a go at question 1D, 2B, and D. Then number 3, B. Okay, 3B. Do we do E?
Yeah, we did.
We done E, but have we done C? D? No. 3B and D. And last but not least, just have a look at question 4B. Try those questions now, please, for me, folks. I'm going to come around, walk around, see if anybody needs some help. Okay, question 2E. We are back on live, folks. So please keep the comments civil and keep them sanitary, not insanitary. Okay, x squared plus x. Now, what we do before, we look at the highest common factor by looking at the elements. We have x squared and an x, and the highest common factor is x. So this is made up of x times by x and plus the x. Right. I'm going to do this in a very particular way first to show you what the common mistake is. I'm going to do this question slightly wrong first to show you how students normally do it. So the highest common factor is a x. We pull the x out. And inside we have left over x add. This is the answer given by some students on the examination paper. Now, because the x is the full factor here, when we split up the x, we can't write it down as just x by itself. Okay. Right. I need to ask myself. Right. When we factorize this x, x is written as x times by 1. You must put the time by 1 in there. Because when you pull the x out, you'll be left with fresh air. You can't have fresh air in the answer. So that time by 1 gets translated back into the answer. So x bracket x plus 1 is the correct answer. And not x bracket x plus nothing. Close bracket. Okay, so whenever you take out all of it, you must leave behind a time by 1. Because that will help us reconstruct the answer. Okay, that's for question 2E. Okay. Right.